Hello, and thank you for joining us on this channel. Whether this is my first storytelling endeavor, I kindly request your understanding and encouragement as I begin. Before we embark on the tale, kindly take a moment to support us by liking and subscribing to the channel. Your support will be greatly appreciated. So, the story begins. In the tranquility of Sunday afternoon, a man in a long dark coat stood hesitantly in front of a house nestled amidst a line of trees. He neither parked a car nor hailed a taxi. The neighbors hadn't witnessed him walking along the sidewalk. He materialized abruptly, as though emerging from one shadow and into the next. The man walked to the door and lifted his fist to knock. Inside the house, a girl named Jude sat on the living room rug and ate fish sticks, soggy from the microwave and dragged through the sludge of ketchup. Her twin sister, Taryn, napped on the couch, curled around the blanket, thumb in her fruit punch-stained mouth. And on the other hand of the sofa, their older sister, Vivienne, stared at the television screen, her eerie, split-pupilled gaze fixed on the cartoon mouse as it ran from the cartoon cat. She loved when it seemed as a mouse was about to get eaten. Vivi was different from other big sisters, but since 7-year-old Jude and Taryn were identical, with the same shaggy brown hair and heart-shaped faces, they were different too. Vivi's eyes and the lightly furred points of her ears were, to Jude, not so much more strange than being the mirror version of another person. And if sometimes she noticed the way the neighborhood kids avoided Vivi or the way their parents talked about her in low, worried voices, Jude didn't think it was anything important. Grown-ups were always worried, always whispering. Taryn yawned and stretched next to Vivi. It was a hot, sunny day outside with lawnmower engines buzzing and kids splashing in backyard pools. Their dad was occupied in the outbuilding practicing his forging skills, while their mother was preparing burgers in the kitchen. Overall, life felt quite mundane and slow, but everything appeared to be okay. Jude sprinted to the door, hoping it was a neighbor girl inviting her to play video games or for an evening swim in the pool. But when she opened the door, a tall man with a brown leather jacket stood there, looming over her. The heat was intense, and he even wore silver-buckled shoes that clanked as he stepped into the entry. Jude shuddered as her gaze met his shadowed face, causing an unease she couldn't quite explain. Jude's voice echoed through the house. "Mom, someone's at the door." Her mother hurried from the kitchen, drying her wet hands on her jeans. Upon seeing the stranger, she turned as pale as a ghost. In a terrifying tone, she ordered Jude, "Go to your room. Now!" The man pointed at Jude and inquired, his voice bearing an odd accent. "Whose child is that, yours or his?" Mom responded coldly without even looking Jude's way. "No one's. She isn't anyone's child." Jude paused on the stairway. Something didn't add up. She and Taryn resembled their father exactly. Everyone commented on it. She was torn between retreating to her room and finding comfort with her sister Vivi. However, she couldn't bring herself to take another step. The tall man proclaimed, "I have witnessed impossible phenomena before, an acorn existing before the oak tree, a spark before the flame. But never have I beheld such an anomaly, a deceased woman living, a child born without origin." Mom was wordless, her body trembling with anxiety. Jude yearned to take her hand and offer comfort, but was too intimidated to do so. The man's tone softened as he continued. "My advisor, Belican, informed me of your whereabouts here. Discovering the charred remains of a normal woman and her unborn child in the ruins of my home was enough to persuade me." He paused, a weight of emotion in his voice. "Can you fathom the devastation of coming home from battle to find your beloved wife dead, your only child alongside her, and your life reduced to rubble?" Mom shook her head, not in reply but as if trying to escape the weight of his words. The man stepped forward, she stepped back. Something was off. His leg moved stiffly, painfully, in the dim light. Jude noticed his green-tinged skin, his oversized lower teeth, and eyes just like Vivi's. Mom whispered, "I was never going to be happy with you. Your world isn't for people like me." The man stared at her a long moment before saying quietly, "You made vows." Mom lifted her chin resolutely, declaring, "And then I renounced them." His gaze shifted to Jude, and his once warm expression turned steely. What value could promises from a mortal woman hold? "I suppose I have received my answer." In response to Mom's look, Jude darted into the living room, leaving the mysterious man behind. Taryn slept on, oblivious. The television was still humming. Vivienne, with feline-like eyes half closed, wondered, "Who is at the door?" I heard raised voices. Jude rushed into the living room, gasping for breath despite the short sprint. A shudder ran through her body, her heart pounded. She blurted, "A scary man is here. We're supposed to go upstairs." Though Mom had directed only her to ascend, Jude refused to go alone. With a resigned sigh, Vivienne unfolded from the couch and awakened Taryn, who followed them into the corridor. Just as they approached the bottom of the staircase, Jude noticed her father returning from the backyard, holding a handmade axe inspired by a museum exhibit. His peculiar interest in old weaponry wasn't unusual. There was something unusual about the way her father wielded the axe. He seemed to be preparing to strike the tall man. Jude's father had never once raised a hand against his daughters, even when they faced major consequences. So the idea of him resorting to physical violence was unthinkable. He wouldn't lash out. He only wouldn't. However, the axe whistled past the tall man, splintering the wood surrounding their doorframe. Taryn let out a sharp, high-pitched cry and covered her mouth in shock. The tall man pulled a curved sword from his coat, like something from a fairy tale. As Dad struggled to free the axe from the doorframe, the man drove the blade into his stomach, thrusting upward. A sickening crunch echoed, like snapping twigs, followed by a guttural scream. Dad collapsed onto the entryway carpet, the one Mom always scolded them for dirtying. Now it was turning red. Jude screamed. Taryn and Vivi screamed too. Everyone was screaming, except the tall man. The man fixed his eyes on Vivi. "Come here," he said. "You monster!" their mother screamed, backing toward the kitchen. "He's dead." "Don't run from me," the man warned. "Not after what you've done. If you—" But she ran. She nearly made it around the corner when his blade hit her in the back. She collapsed onto the linoleum, arms flailing and knocking magnets off the fridge. The sharp scent of blood filled the air, thick, hot, like metal-soaked water, like those steel scrubbers Mom used to scrape burnt food from pans. Jude charged the man, ramming her fists against his chest and kicking at his legs. She felt no fear, only a strange detachment from the situation. The man brushed her aside, seemingly dazed and remorseful. He knelt, grasping Jude's shoulders, restraining her flailing arms. Yet, his gaze remained fixed on Vivienne. "You were stolen from me," he told Vivienne. "I have come to take you back to your true home, the world of Fae beneath the hill, Elfheim. There, you will find unimaginable wealth as you live among your own kind." Vivi stood firm, her voice quiet but firm. "No, I'm not going anywhere with you. I am your father," he snapped, voice sharp as a whip. "You are my heir, my blood. You will obey me." She didn't flinch, but her jaw clenched. "You're not her father!" Jude shouted, refusing to believe it, even with the same eerie eyes. The man tightened his grip on her shoulders. Jude let out a small squeak, but stared up defiantly. She had won plenty of staring contests before. She wouldn't back down now. His gaze shifted briefly to Taryn, who knelt next to Mom, shaking her as she wept. Jude's heart ached. Her parents were gone forever. "I hate you," Vivi declared, her words laced with venom. "I will always hate you. I promise it." The man's expression remained cold and unmoving. "You will come with me regardless. Pack them. We ride before dark." Vivi's chin lifted, her voice firm. "Leave them alone. If you must, take me, but spare them." He focused his piercing gaze on Vivi, the corner of his mouth curling. "So, you'd protect your sisters from me? Then tell me, where could they possibly go?" Vivi remained silent. They had no grandparents, no blood relatives left. He turned his attention back to Jude, releasing her shoulder. He slowly rose to his feet. "These are the offspring of my wife, making them my responsibility. I might be cruel, a monster, and a murderer, but I don't abandon my obligations. You shouldn't neglect yours as the eldest." Over time, as Jude recounted the story to herself, the process of packing remained a blank. Shock seemed to have erased every detail of that hour. Somehow, Vivi managed to gather their favorite picture books, beloved toys, along with photographs, pajamas, coats, and shirts. Or perhaps Jude had packed for herself. She could never recall. It was inconceivable how they had managed this task with the chilling presence of their parents' bodies just downstairs. Jude couldn't fathom how it had felt, and as the years passed, she found herself unable to relive those nightmarish emotions. The dark horse was grazing on the grass as they ventured outside. Its soft gaze seemed almost sweet. Jude yearned to embrace its neck, find comfort in its silky mane. Before she could, the tall man hoisted her and Taryn onto the saddle, handling them as if they were mere luggage. He hoisted Vivi onto the horse behind him and commanded, "Hold on." A torrent of tears overwhelmed Jude and her sisters throughout the journey to fairyland. So the first chapter ends here. I hope you all found my storytelling soothing and engaging. If you'd like to know what happens next in this story, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. I'll see you all in the next video with chapter 2 of this tale. Until then, take care and see ya.